All right. Well, hey guys, welcome back to the Legacymakers podcast. We are so excited to have you join us for this episode. This is going to be a really cool, really relevant episode, I think, for all of us, including myself. I'm super excited because a really good friend of mine is here with me I guess it's this afternoon.
This afternoon.
But Blaine Carver is here, and he's a great friend of mine. He's got a great family. He's a great leader. He's got a great handle on all things finances and markets and money and what it all looks like. And I'm just so excited to have you here, Blaine. And it'll be a great conversation. And I think there's going to be some takeaways too towards the end of what can we do. And so as you're listening to this, think about what does it look like to steward our legacy from a financial perspective. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, "We will leave, or a good man or righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." Yeah. And I think there's a lot in there besides just the idea and the physicality of money, which Blaine is going to give us a great deep dive in. And so I'm just excited to have Blaine here. So Blaine, why don't you just introduce yourself? Thank you so much for being here, and just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where you're coming from. And
well, thanks so much for having me on the podcast. I've really been looking forward to this, and right back at you, Ben. You've been a great friend to me, a leader in the community, in your church, and we're just really excited to dive into this conversation today. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
So just a quick intro on myself. My name is Blaine Carver. I've been married for now 12 years. We're actually celebrating tomorrow.
Oh yeah, the 4th, right?
4th of July. We're celebrating a week early.
Dude,
married to the love of my life, Kendall.
Great day for a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Fireworks on our anniversary every year.
So good.
We have 4 young children. Oldest is 6, youngest is about 15 months. And fun fact is, Ben and I live on the same street.
Yeah.
And we had our children both in our homes and about 12 hours apart.
Yeah.
So
such a good story.
Yeah. So Clive and Caleb are buddies.
Yeah. But, really quick, the story on that is because you guys had the same midwife.
Yeah.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So funny story. We had Clive in our guest room and the midwife was there. And then it was like 11 a.m. and she's like, "All right, I got to go to my next appointment." And so she leaves and she just walks down the street to Blaine and Ken's house and delivers Caleb. So cool, man. But that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
anyway, what do you do? Tell us about your career, your job. Like, what are you up to?
Yeah. So I've been in the finance industry all of my career since graduating college in 2013. Worked for the Bahnsen Group. We're based in Newport Beach, offices all over the country, and I serve as a private wealth advisor. So a lot of people refer to us as financial advisor, financial planner.
Yeah.
And serve about 70 families.
Wow.
A couple institutions.
Yeah.
But mostly families, and just help them steward wealth, invest their money, help plan for things like college, homes, vacation homes, retirement cash flow, tax planning, all of that.
Wow.
So yeah,
amazing, dude.
We cover the gamut.
How would you describe the Bahnsen Group compared to maybe some of the other organizations out there?
Yeah. So as far as size, kind of mid-size, right? We're not a one-man shop. We're also not a massive, broker dealer or wirehouse. I have about 100 employees. Wow. But I would say one of the things that we are heavily emphasize is just the personal relationship with our clients. And so it's not like we have this tech platform where you just become a client and things are kind of automated. We really think money is emotional and it should be treated with, a personal one-on-one relationship. So that's where I come in. So my primary role, I tell clients, is my job is to get to know you and really understand your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, your risk tolerance, how much, up and down volatility you're willing to stomach, what solutions you're trying to get after. And then, we have a whole supporting team of, investment committee. We have estate planners. We have, CPAs on staff, all those experts and specialists. I bring them in to kind of provide those solutions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the director or the owner is David Bahnsen, right?
Yep, David Bahnsen.
And who's David Bahnsen?
Yeah, David is the most dynamic man I have ever personally known. So he's a prolific author. He's on podcasts. He's on CNBC and Fox Business quite frequently. And so,
awesome.
he's a couple of the most recent books are Full-Time Work and the Meaning of Life, where he actually, it comes at more of a theological angle of how God created us to work and for purpose and creativity and innovation, and how we need to use and steward those gifts that God has given us to create. And that can be in the workplace, or it can be, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's still creating and shaping, our children, and obviously doesn't get paid for that. And so talks about that. And then our investment philosophy is primarily that of dividend growth equities or stocks, which is, essentially, if you think of a home, you buy $1 million home and put a tenant in there, they might pay you $45,000 a year. Hopefully you're not going to be looking at Zillow every single day and checking the price, but you're more concerned with, is the tenant paying me every month? And then can I increase that rent after a year at a greater rate than inflation? And so that's essentially what we're doing with public stocks, is we're looking for stocks that pay you a dividend, so passive income, and then they're growing that dividend to outpace inflation. So that's the long and short of it.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, like how did you get into like what you're doing? Like, what does it mean to you? Like, what kind of drives you within that? Yeah.
So I'll go way back to when I was young Blaine in Alaska. I grew up in Alaska, and it's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they look at me. I told them I'm from Alaska, and they go, "I've never met anybody from Alaska." And I'm like, I'm not some alien, some foreign species. But anyways, so growing up there, a very common career path, especially for a father, would be to work on the North Slope of Alaska. It's you only go to school for like 2 years, get a technical associate's degree.
Okay.
And then you go up to the North Slope for 2 weeks. That's the oil fields.
Okay.
Work your butt off for 2 weeks, like 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
But then you come home for 2 weeks and you're off. And you make pretty good money. And so what I saw happen as a elementary school kid is these dads would come home, and after being away from their kids for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden they'd have a new truck or a new snowmobile or these new toys, which is totally fine if you can afford that. That's okay if that's your passion. But then I started talking to my friends, noticing that their parents would have marital issues, and a lot of it stemmed from the money issues. And I knew that, they were making plenty of money, so that finances should not have been an issue in their marriage.
Like, what's going on?
And I was like, what's going on? And so that just started this passion in me of like, how can I help people make responsible money decisions? Like there's gotta be a place for that. And then I learned this profession of financial advising, became kind of enamored with the stock market and how 1,000 could turn into 2,000, 4,000, compound interest. So that's where it all started. And I've literally wanted to be an advisor since I was 16 years old. And so pursued that through college. And
So what do you feel like when you're doing your job today? Like what kind of lights you up? Like what gets you excited about it? Like even today?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me is the planning aspect. So many people are just kind of floating along through life, and they're just, they're putting a few percent away in their 401k. If they're generous or if they're believers, they might be giving some money to their church. But there's very little intentionality behind it. It's kind of just, hey, we're going to do what we feel, and life's expensive. So we're going to kind of procrastinate some of the things that we maybe should be doing. But until you actually take the time, and sometimes it only takes a couple hours. It's not like this huge project, especially if you're hiring somebody like us. It's very little, load for the client.
Yeah.
But we take the time to intentionally just look at everything from cash flow to your balance sheet, your assets, your liabilities, your savings rates, growth rates, inflation rates, all those things. And we get to kind of just see like, where are you at? Like, what is your current status?
Gotcha.
And then where are you trying to get to? So if the goal is to be more generous, then how can we get you there? Or if the goal is to retire by age 60, how do we get you there? And sometimes it's not realistic. Sometimes we look at the model and say, hey, that's maybe not realistic. So we need to think through some different goals or adjust some things.
Yeah.
But that initial planning, kind of just assessing where you currently are, it's critical to actually figuring out where you need to get to.
Totally.
And it leads to a lot of fun conversations like, okay, you said you hate your job, but it makes, gives you really good money. Have you ever considered getting a different job? And they say, oh, well, haven't really considered it because it's just not financially possible. Yeah. Sometimes it's as easy as saying, hey, let's run the numbers. And actually it is possible.
Wow.
And so, that's what's fun to me. Facilitating communication with family members has become something that's just come up a lot recently.
Like between family members?
Yeah, like a parent to a son or daughter, for example. I think it may stem, the reason why it's coming up more and more often, I think maybe because housing is just so expensive. And so there's a lot of talk of, hey, I'm making a couple $100,000 as a 30-year-old, but I still can't afford a home. And all of a sudden, mom and dad, who've accumulated over many, many decades, they say, okay, we're going to step in and help.
Yeah.
And so facilitating those conversations is super fun. And it's delicate, right? Because there's siblings involved. There's the parent's own financial situation involved.
Super delicate.
So it's been a lot of fun.
I was curious too, as you were talking, I wonder what, maybe you could help us out. What would you say is like the average person's or average family's kind of the way that they handle money, the way that they kind of plan, like you were saying, versus like, what's like the ideal, like how you guys roll it out, how you guys work it and help, like, how would you like compare and contrast, like what's average, what's like ideal?
Yeah. I mean, as far as what's average, financial literacy in America is very low.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't know the basics about money or compound interest or how debt works and, how credit scores work and things like that. Nor they don't need to know all those things. Hopefully there's a baseline of education that everybody has.
Yeah.
But I think the easiest way to describe it is going, this isn't to knock on clients, but like going from chaos to order. Because people will come in with, unorganized statements, or they have accounts that they kind of forgot about, and they don't really know exactly how much they make or how much is going to taxes. And so we just try to make it easy by bundling all that up, doing all the heavy lifting, so clients don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And then just creating a clear picture. I think clarity is the big thing, is creating clarity for clients.
I was just thinking, it's kind of in my mind, it's comical because it's like, it's when someone doesn't know how much they make, it means they probably make enough to where they don't have to worry about it.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's like, I wonder, like, okay, like what is it like for a family who's like, okay, let's say they're tight, like they're pinching pennies, so like they know exactly how much they make and how much they don't make. Like where do you feel like there could be like a gap, and like what could be like a step like for a family that they could take to where they can really start getting a handle on, maybe they can move forward in that area of life to where it's like they're making progress. Yeah.
So for that family, that's it's the first thing that comes to mind. It's actually really counterintuitive, but if they're not giving, I would actually say give on a regular basis.
Well,
and the reason I say that is because if you are not giving, and you feel like giving is a part of your values, but you're just like, I'm not making enough money right now. I think there's a mentality of like scarcity, right? Rather than abundance. It's like, okay, I need all of this, so I'm going to hold on to all of it, which I get. It's very expensive. We're sitting here in Orange County, California. It's insurmountable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the dollar amount is not important. But if it's $5 a week or $5 a month on a regular basis, and you see that come out, it's basically declaring I have power over my money. I have some control. because I'm going to willingly give this, and I still believe that God's going to provide for me. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. The second thing is, if you can talk to a professional. I know one of the frustrating things about my industry is that often people that don't have a lot of wealth say, I need help, but every person I talk to tells me I don't meet the minimums. And that's difficult, but there are people out there who can help on kind of the basics, or church organizations, people in churches that can help kind of get you on the right foot.
Like you said, the word scarcity versus a mindset of abundance. How would you like define the two? Like what would you say those look like, the mindsets? Like what does a scarcity mindset look like, feel like? What does it deal with? What does an abundance mindset look like, feel like, how to like deal with?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to anxiety, especially like the scarcity mindset I'm talking about. And I get it. Our mindset of money is primarily ingrained in us in the first 18 years of life. So there's been some studies around this, but like sometimes I talk to a client who's been in cash for like a decade, like a couple $1 million in cash. And I'm sitting there like, oh, do you know how much that could have grown to if you just invested that?
Wow.
And I asked them, like what did it look like growing up for you? And I usually already know in my mind, they either grew up like dirt poor and didn't have anything.
They're trying to hold on to it and control it.
Yep. Or their parents maybe grew up like through the Great Depression, and they kind of passed that on to their kid who might be my client. And so, that I would say that would be a scarcity mindset that can lead to financial anxiety, because I talk with, some clients or people who are interested in the Bahnsen Group, and I know they have enough money just based on their net worth and based on what they spend. They'll have plenty of money for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
But you talk to them and they're just fearful of everything, of the market, of, an extra, your transmission goes out and they have to pay a couple $1,000, and they think that's going to, set them over. And I have empathy for them because I know where it's coming from. But I try to move them into this mindset of more abundance, of the fact that you will be taken care of. Number one, if they're a Christian, we can talk about provision and how God is a provider. But even aside from that, just running the numbers and showing them that, hey, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I know this is kind of like, we're kind of gravitating off of the notes here, but this is actually really, really good. And I think really a really good conversation. Like back to the idea of abundance, like how can someone kind of begin to live into that mindset, even if it doesn't appear that it's possible? Like what is it? Like what is like proactive action step, or maybe even starting with like the belief? Like what is like maybe obviously they might be anxious or they might be feeling a certain way, but like is there like a belief that they need to acquire, and then use that belief to then take action,
Yeah, I would say the belief that you have agency, that you have the power, especially in America, in 2026.
Yeah.
Like we live in the greatest country on earth. 4th of July is coming up, 250th anniversary. It's a big one. But really we do. We live in a society where there's free enterprise, and where, you can start a business, or you can find an extra job if you feel like you need that in this point of life. And you do have agency over your situation in life. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to live in Orange County, California.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to get rich, which we can even talk about the desire to get rich and how that's not even biblical. But I would say just the belief that you have agency over your standing in life.
That's good, man. Agency. Good stuff, man. Thanks for going down that rabbit trail with me.
Thank you. Fun.
Yeah. Okay. So another thought that I had is just what's happening right now in the world of money. Like what's going on in the world and in the nation, and just obviously there's tons of buzz around different subjects, maybe AI and all that stuff. I know like markets are always moving up and down, but like, I don't know, give families just kind of like a general census, and then also provide like your your consensus. Like,
Yeah.
what's your sense? Like, what is your, like, not like you're offering financial advice, but just give your judgment, give your sound judgment. Cause that's what, you're wise, you're wise and you're sound and you have good judgment. So it'd be good.
Yeah. Disclaimer. This is not financial advice. It's simply education.
Yeah.
So I would say right now, we're at a point where the stock market has done phenomenal for really 3.5 years in a row. 2023, 24, 25, and then this year have been really just straight up and to the right.
Dang.
2022 is a down year, but ever since then it's been up.
Crazy.
And there's been bumps in the road, like there always is.
Yeah.
But people have seen, if they've been investing in the stock market, they've generally seen their accounts grow quite a bit. Housing had a huge boom post-COVID. It's leveled off in the last couple of years, but people saw huge increases in the value of their homes. What a lot of economists are talking about right now is this K-shaped economy. So the upper end of the K is basically people that have high incomes and primarily that own assets. So if you're in the stock market or own a real estate, they've seen their net worths, their standing in life go up. They're pretty happy. There's some inflation that people are disappointed by, but overall they're doing pretty well. But then there's this other 50% of the nation where it's the bottom part of the K. And they're frustrated. They're seeing the inflation, but they're not seeing any benefit as far as their wages aren't going up that much. And they don't have ownership in a home or stocks. And so their net worth has not increased. And so there's a bit of I would just say a growing divide among, I hate to use the word, but haves and have nots. That you're starting to see. And it's just interesting and something our nation is working through.
Interesting. What would you say is like your kind of sentiment, like around that idea and like that reality of like, I don't know, what do you have to say to it or about it?
Yeah, I think to some extent that's always gonna persist. Maybe not as much as it has the last few years, but it's another reason to start saving young. I could show you a chart if you start at birth or start at age 18 versus start investing at age 45, it's a massive, massive difference.
Wow.
And so that's one of the things.
It's crazy.
We talked about housing a little bit earlier. That's something in the world of money that's a lot of people are talking about. Just as far as certain statistics, this is the least affordable real estate market ever. If you compare like average value of home compared to average income. And so that creates dynamics where, again, a really high earning 30 or 35-year-old is frustrated. Whereas a generation ago, it would have been easy for them to buy a nice home and, feel like they could provide extra for their kids. That's also causing a lot of baby boomers to give down payment or assistance, gifts to their kids for the purchases of homes, which has created kind of some intergenerational gifting dynamics. The last thing I'll say, we had the crypto boom of the last few years, and crypto's come down a lot recently. But recently the big boom in the stock market has been AI stocks. And what I've seen, and this is not talking about the merits of AI stocks or even the merits of crypto, but what I see is this desire to get rich quickly. Especially from young people who have access to, different apps, money apps on their phone, and they see these massive gains in certain stocks or in maybe crypto from time to time. And then they talk to their friends and their friends like, I just bought my car with the crypto proceeds or the proceeds from XYZ stock. And hey, if you can find a good investment, by all means do it. But if your investment thesis is, I bought that because I think I can get rich quickly from that, then I would say we need to pause. And we need to talk about motivations, but also just the fact that hindsight is often the worst investor. So
wow. Yeah, that's good, man. That kind of leads me into my next thought, as it relates to families, dads, every family is on this journey, but I'm curious, like what would you say defines success? Like, especially for a dad or the breadwinner, like what would you say defines success?
Yeah. Now, are you talking in like a financial aspect, of a financial lens?
Well, yes. Well, yes and no. What defines success? Yes, but also just like generally speaking, like what, more maybe off the topic of money, like what defines success? How would you define that? Like how could someone reframe their mind almost to where it's like the idea of having more money doesn't necessarily equal success.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's this like quick little quip or quote, like your self-worth is not equal to your net worth, which is, it's helpful to like remind us of that because we get so comparison oriented in this culture.
Yeah.
My one word answer would be success is obedience. So obedience to whatever call God has placed on your life.
That's good.
Which is different. It's unique to all of us.
Yeah.
So, to take a kind of financial angle, I would say that, and I guess I would just go back to this vision that I have of like, I'll use a man as an example, but if you're a female listening to this, you can use a woman.
Yeah.
But like this vision of this man who wakes up and he's grateful and he is going to head to work knowing that he's utilizing his passions, his intellect, his, relationships, everything that God has given him, his talent to go serve in the marketplace or in the church or in the hospital, whatever, wherever God has called that person. And so they're serving. And again, financially speaking, from a spending perspective, they're aware of what they're spending, but not obsessed with it. They're not agonizing over every single purchase, but they're aware. They're saving diligently. That's very biblical. And they're giving on a regular basis, and they're giving with a generous, with a joyful attitude.
Yeah.
And so, and that person then comes home and is a present father and is a present intentional husband. And it just creates this like virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
By utilizing the gifts that God has given us, those gifts result in wages or, if you're a business owner, right? And then you can use those to bless people with generosity, to provide for your family, to pay taxes, which nobody wants to do, but we should pay taxes with a grateful heart. So like that would be a successful steward to me,
That's good, man. What do you feel like is like the challenge these days to like live into that, or maybe the discouragement to be obedient, or like to trade the idea of success as just a monetary value versus like success as just obedience, especially for people who might be struggling with anxiety around their finances. Like how can you, like, what would you say to encourage someone to just be obedient, be diligent? I mean, maybe just that, I guess.
I think the hardest thing, I struggle with this, is just comparison and envy.
That's good.
And again, I'll go back to social media. It's just so easy to think that I wish I had what they had. I wish I went on that vacation. and then you peel back the curtain and realize, that's not really reality for most folks, and nor should it even be the desire of my heart. But I would say the biggest thing is just sitting alone with God, opening the Word, and just reminding yourself of your identity in God. Because that allows you to kind of shut off the voices of the outside world that are telling you, you need to get rich and you need to start a new business and you need to do XYZ to be important and to have influence. And I struggle with it. I have to remind myself of that every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in the world that I work.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of money, and we're in Newport Beach, California. And there's a certain lifestyle that sometimes tempts us. So.
Yeah. That's good, man. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for your honesty, man. That's so good. Okay. I kind of want to get into like the meat of this conversation. We talked about a bunch of stuff, really good stuff. And now I kind of want to go into just the idea of like, what does it mean to have a value-based money management system and maybe some of the frameworks around that. Like what would you say is a value-based? How do you manage money with values? Like how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say, so I sometimes use this, but it's basically a Venn diagram of like on one side is values and the other side is your capital, mostly financial capital.
Yeah.
And like the only way to properly do financial planning, I think, is in the middle, right? Where those two circles intersect. Yeah. And so many people kind of say, oh, my money is one thing and I'm just going to give my money to some random manager and I'm going to pick the one who's going to give me the best return. But then it never interacts with their life and like what's the purpose of the money? Is it just to double in value? Well, that's kind of meaningless to me. So how does that intersect with like what we're actually trying to accomplish in life? What are our values? So, yeah. And just to tell you like a personal story, I remember when I came down to Orange County 4.5 years ago, one of Kendall's friends kind of asked me like, so is your job just to make rich people more rich? And it was an innocent question.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it kind of, stuck my heart. Like if it is, then I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
And so it made me kind of think about, why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
But yeah, as far as like value-based, money management, it's honestly, the first step would be doing exactly what you guys at Legacymakers are doing, is understanding what are my values.
What are my values?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And what have I passed or what have I inherited as far as values and strengths and weaknesses from my parents and grandparents? What are my values? What is our family mission? Only once you have an understanding there, I think that makes the money become more meaningful.
It's so good. I love that. Well, yeah. What frameworks do you use? Like either in your work or in your own personal life, in your family? Like what is a framework that a family can implement? If let's say they have their values, they've done some real work to identify and discover like what really matters to them. How do they actually go about living out and matching, for lack of a better term, matching or aligning how they're using money with what they value?
Yeah,
that's a framework for that.
It's a great question. The first thing I would say is if you think of a pie chart, I'll use the live, give, owe, grow framework. So
wait, what was it? Live,
give, owe, and grow. It's got to be something catchy to remember.
Yeah.
And so what it means is of your total household income, gross income, that's the pie chart. And your money can only possibly go in 5 different ways. Okay. There's only 5 different places it can go. It can go to your lifestyle.
Okay.
So that's the live part.
Yep.
For most people, that's a good chunk of the pie chart.
Yep.
So let's say it's half of the pie chart. That goes to anything from cars to vacations to insurance and food, all that.
Okay.
The give is, giving to charity or maybe giving to family members. So is that important to you? Is that part of your values? If so, then it should take up a slice of the pie. Owe, well, there's 2 O's. So you owe debt and you owe taxes.
Oh, okay.
So taxes, obligatory, you have to pay them. Hopefully you're paying them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not much else to say about that. It's going to take up a piece of the pie. But then you owe debt.
Yeah.
Which, there's obligatory interest payments there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't avoid that. Like maybe it's a mortgage and it's a reasonable house. There's nothing that you necessarily need to change there. But maybe you look at that debt piece of the pie and say, you know what? I probably don't need that fancy of a car. Maybe we can, somehow manage that in a better way. And then the last piece would be the grow piece, which is essentially saving.
Gotcha.
For investments or other things. So that's
great.
It's a good framework. There's a little bit of homework to do because you have to understand where your money is going.
Yeah.
But it's helpful because it's a visual of I said my values were XYZ. but this is what my pie chart looks like.
Yeah.
Is it aligned?
Yeah. That's good, man.
So that's the first one. The second one I use is more in talking about estate planning and with like parents or grandparents who are thinking about, hey, what is life going to look like when I'm starting to shift assets to my kids, whether it's in life or at death.
Yeah.
And if you just, draw a triangle or a house, basically, most people think like, oh, I'm going to give an inheritance to my kids. They think of money.
Yeah.
Like if I asked you, hey, Ben, are you going to give an inheritance to your kids? What comes to mind?
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people think about,
money are they getting?
yeah, a dollar amount in their accounts.
Yeah.
But from a biblical perspective, if you just give kids money without the proper training and values, etc., then
That's good.
it's likely to just vanish.
Yeah.
So it's likely to vanish, but also it's just a bummer from the standpoint of you want your kids to flourish.
From a legacy perspective too.
Yeah. So most people build that house, if you will. The foundation is financial capital, but it should be the opposite. So again, build the house. On the bottom for the foundation, you put spiritual capital. So like, are we properly passing on our spiritual capital, our faith in Jesus Christ to our kids? Once that is solid, then you can build what's called social capital. So things like hard work and delayed gratification and, discipline and all those things that make our kids function in society and flourish in society. And then on top of that is financial capital.
Wow.
If you do the spiritual and social capital well, the financial capital is not an issue.
Yeah.
You're going to be excited
Yeah.
to give your kid whatever dollar amount it is.
Yeah.
Because you're like, my kid's going to steward this better than I ever did. But most people reverse those things.
That's good. What did you say goes in the spiritual capital?
Kind of just our faith, like passing on our faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
That's so good, man. I was thinking even praying too.
yeah, prayer. Yeah, passing on those
Praying for
habits.
kids, praying for your children.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. That's so good. Those are really good. So you have the pie chart, the live, give, O, and grow. Well, actually, if you flip the G around with the O, it's log. That's the acronym.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
And then the house, spiritual, social, and financial. What'd you call them? Capitals?
Capital. Yeah.
Capitals. That's so good, dude.
Yeah, financial capital is essentially your assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the idea of, because I have another friend who's very active in like the space of just wealth transfer.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of wealth that is about to be transferred or is going to be transferred here very shortly.
Yeah.
From one generation to the next, somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I read a report from NASDAQ years back that like the average, what was it? I think it was like familial wealth is generally completely spent by the third generation or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just gone.
Yeah, just gone.
Or squandered.
And we're talking about significant sums of wealth.
Significant sums of money. And then I read somewhere too, like it's like 90% of millionaires are self-made. Something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just struck me as like really interesting because it's like you spend so much time and effort building money and building wealth essentially just for it to be squandered in 3 generations. And so it makes me ask the question, like, why? Like, why go through all that?
Yeah.
If it's just going to be gone, I mean, you're going to die, and then your kids might use it, and then your grandkids, they don't know what to do with it, so it's gone.
Yeah.
They're just going to spend it or whatever, however much money it was, you know?
It's a sobering thought.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I know it's like, it's hard. It's hard, like, especially here in Southern California, it's like you have to like work your butt off to survive. But even generally speaking, it's like, how can, like, maybe it's for another time, but it's just an interesting thought to think about, like, how can we really steward not just the financial, but really the spiritual and the social capital elements of our family to where, yeah, it's like what we do with our money actually extends beyond 3 generations, but like really blesses and grows future generations for more than just 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's an interesting thought. Do you have any like ideas around like, how do you do that? Like, how do you really plan for that? I mean, obviously the social and the spiritual capital is where it really happens, is the meat and potatoes. I don't know.
I just started a book called The Legacy Life, and it's by I don't know if it's by the Hobby Lobby founder or maybe a son of the founder.
Well,
and I've just started it, so I'm not even halfway through. But one of the things he talks about is essentially, I kind of titled it the 150-year test.
Whoa, nice.
And he talks about how are we preparing our generations or the generations that come after us for the next 150 years. Because so often we just think about the next generation.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to steward this wealth so that it properly transfers to my kids.
Yeah.
But if you actually think about what is needed to pass your, you could say wealth or, social capital or spiritual capital, any of those things. How do we pass those things on to our generations that are 150 years from now? Okay, if we're going to do that, it's not about the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about other things.
That's right.
Right? Like,
so good.
Yeah, there has to be a little bit of money to compound and stuff, but it's primarily about the communication among family members. It's about hard work. It's about discipline.
Yeah.
So that's the only way money's going to last 150
Yeah,
years.
it's so good, man.
I thought that was a cool way that he framed that. And Hobby Lobby is legendary for their generosity and for the way they've structured their business to keep it in the family. So I'm excited to kind of do a deep dive this summer on how they've done that.
Yeah, that'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so good, man. Thank you for sharing all that. That's kind of towards the end of what we wanted to talk about, but I just was curious, like, I'd love to hear like what, if there's anyone out there that, could use some of the work that you do and, could be interested in learning more about you and the Bahnsen Group, like what can they do to get in touch with you or meet with you or, like how can you be contacted?
Yeah. I mean, you can contact me. I'm sure they can probably contact Legacymakers and you can get them in touch with me. But you can, the Bahnsen Group is BAHNSEN. So you can look us up, online and get my phone number there. My email is bcarver@thebahnsengroup.com.
Nice.
Pretty easy to get in contact with me. Sweet. And I love talking to people about this subject of faith and finances. It's been awesome. Everything in between. So even if it's a phone call to just like, hey, I'm thinking about this topic. And even if there's no interest in becoming a client, happy to talk about it. It's fun for me.
That's awesome. So, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Anything else do you want to share?
Looking at my notes here, like, gosh, we covered a lot, I feel like.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I love it.
I would just emphasize communication. So you gave that stat of like 95% of wealth dissipates by the 3rd generation. Another book I was reading just heavily emphasized the clear factor in the families where the wealth did last until the 3rd generation. The primary glue was communication. So whether it was a religious family or non-religious family,
interesting.
If the patriarch and matriarch properly communicated, so that could be
kids
to their kids and the grandkids. And so, it could look like family board meetings, or it could be more informal, just like passing your values on. But oftentimes when we're talking about like significant wealth, it's often a business owner, right? And so, how do you properly transition that business? A lot of business owners will just, when they want to exit, they'll get an investment banker and they'll sell for the biggest dollar amount.
Yeah.
Which I understand that.
Yeah.
That's what most of us try to do with, to build wealth.
Yeah.
But also thinking about how do I prepare the next generation to either run the business or, inherit the money that comes as a result of the business sale.
Yeah.
So communication's huge.
That's awesome, man.
Something I've been inspired recently. Somebody sent me a book called The Family Board Meeting. and it's a short, easy read.
Okay.
But actually, all it's talking about is, as best you can, attempt to do a one-on-one date with every one of your kids once a quarter for 4 hours, no technology. And it convicted me because I've
One-on-one date.
Yep.
With each of your kids.
Yep.
For 4 hours.
4 hours once a quarter.
Okay.
And that's essentially the message of the book.
Huh.
And it convicted me because I have 4 young children, and very rarely in the past have we done true one-on-one dates.
I mean, they're still little though, too.
Yeah, they're little for sure.
Yeah.
But it made me think, gosh, how cool would that be if my kid, when they're 18, they can look back on the last 12 or 15 years of their life and say, my dad spent 4 hours with me every single quarter.
Yeah.
Looked me in the eye. We shared a meal together. We did something fun. There wasn't a phone out, and we just were intentional.
Yeah.
And we that'd be super, super powerful. So
Absolutely.
that's a challenge to myself.
Same here, man. Same here.
So
I used to be all about doing daddy dates, and it was like I was trying to get all kids every month.
Yeah.
And it's just the more kids you have, the harder it gets.
Exactly.
So the quarterly strategy actually could work really well for us. I need to consider that one.
Yeah.
That's so good, man. Yeah, I just had a thought too on the idea of legacy and thinking about creating fiscally, financially, like the legacy for 150 years, not just 3 generations, but 150 years, which is probably closer to like 7 or 8 generations potentially, I think. And then 300 years is like 12 generations. So anyway, it's I hear it a lot, even in what we do and what Legacymakers does. It's like, the idea of legacy is very far removed, just mentally, from just what is happening right now.
Yeah.
What's happening today. Like, I got to get my kids to school. I got to go to this meeting. I got to get I got to get them sports. And it's like, the idea of legacy is just like way out there that it's not even relevant. It's like, doesn't even matter. And so I just I want to affirm what you said and just reiterate that, like, it matters. And it doesn't matter, like, the money that you make, right? And how much you make isn't as important as like the spiritual and the social capital that you invest and build into your kids. Yeah. 'Cause that's what's going to last. That's what's going to like set them up set your kids and your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' 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 kids,
Yeah.
for a long time.
Absolutely.
You teach them how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
And I love the vision that Legacymakers has always kind of thrown out there of, I believe you've talked about like a surfer who goes out on the beach and, they're surfing and they're not really paying attention. And all of a sudden they kind of look up and they're like, wait a minute, where did I put my stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're a half mile, down the shore.
Just drifted off.
And that's what happens in our lives, in our family lives, in our financial lives. Like, we all are prone to that, me included.
Yeah.
And so how do we become more intentional people? How do we live lives where, we're aligning what we say and what we say about our faith or about our families or about our finances? How do we align?
So good, man. Good stuff, Blaine. Hey, thank you so much for joining me and joining the Legacymakers podcast.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for all the prep and the great questions.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for listening in, and we will see you next time.